Communications Committee with ALAS. I'm pleased to be presenting the Young Scholars panel for education. We decided to call this panel New Windows this year for the first time to invoke the idea of emerging students contributing new ideas and innovations to the field of education. We have three wonderful panelists who are going to discuss their work developing mindfulness in Ecuador, training teachers in Chile, and instilling social justice art education as an agent of change. So please help me in welcoming our three panelists. Our first panelist, I'm very pleased to welcome Andrea López. Andrea is a doctoral student in the Educational Leadership Program at New York University. Andrea has served as the academic coordinator and teacher at Penta UC, the educational program for kids with academic talent, from Pontificia Universidad Católica in Santiago, Chile. She has helped provide educational support programs for public schools. Andrea has a bachelor's degree in psychology and aesthetics from Pontificia Universidad Católica de Chile, where she also earned a master's in human resources management. She also has her master's in art theory and history from Universidad de Chile. Welcome, Andrea.
Thank you. So, can I stay here? Bueno, hola a todos. Preparé la presentación en español, así que tendré que hacerlo en español. So I apologize to those who don't speak Spanish, because the presentation is in Spanish. Bueno, lo que les quería mostrar hoy es un poco de mi experiencia realizando cursos de arte en el programa Penta UC en la Universidad Católica, y la razón por la que quise traerlo acá y conversar del tema es porque estaba pensando haciendo mi doctorado acá y también pensando en la vuelta a Chile, en cómo esto que se realizó en un programa específico con características particulares se puede llevar a la educación en general y a la educación artística en la educación pública. Entonces, hay acá una cita que representa la convicción desde la que partí haciendo estos cursos, que es que el arte no es para unos pocos, sino que es para todos y que puede tener un impacto profundo en cuestiones que estemos pensando en relación a la justicia social. Entonces, como educadores de arte, como dice esta cita, podemos involucrarnos en los problemas de la sociedad y en el cambio social si es que pensamos en el arte de esta manera más amplia. Les cuento un poco las características del programa en que se realizaron los cursos para que entiendan el contexto y las posibilidades que tenía ahí para experimentar y para desarrollar esta experiencia. Al desarrollar estos cursos, pensé en el arte como plataforma para estimular reflexión y pensamiento crítico en torno a preguntas filosóficas y problemas sociales. Y esto se realizaba en un formato extracurricular donde estudiantes de distintos colegios públicos y privados de Santiago, en Chile, asistían a la Universidad Católica a clases que ellos elegían en distintas áreas académicas. Los estudiantes van desde sexto básico a cuarto medio, que desde los 12 años a los 18 años, y son preseleccionados por sus profesores y luego tienen que realizar una prueba de selección para poder entrar al programa. Entonces, eso puede ser tema de otro gran debate, el tema de la selección de estudiantes, pero en lo concreto lo que teníamos era un grupo de 1000 estudiantes en el programa altamente motivados por asistir viernes y sábado a clases extra a las clases de su colegio. Entonces, muy brevemente, yo participé tanto como profesora como en la coordinación académica del programa, que significaba buscar profesores, recibir profesores que venían con propuestas y ayudarlos en la implementación de estos cursos. Entonces, quería comentar que como coordinadora académica pude ver cómo institucionalmente se valoraba mucho más temas como matemáticas, ciencias en general, que las artes. Entonces era también un esfuerzo por tratar de abrir los espacios para este tipo de cursos y y en particular para los cursos que tuvieran una orientación más crítica y que buscaran utilizar el arte de esta forma. Y una segunda lucha era el tema de los recursos, porque el presupuesto en función de esta distinta valoración también estaba mayormente orientado a las disciplinas tradicionales. Bueno, y acá hay algunas citas que ilustran este fenómeno que no ocurre solo en Chile, sino que es también universal, que las artes se tienden a ver como dispensable, un lujo que puede ser eliminado en tiempos de déficit financiero, y que es algo también que se ve en el sistema de educación, donde las horas de arte han sido reducidas, se vuelven electivas, y el espacio que se da a las pruebas estandarizadas es lo que prevalece. Bueno, el marco teórico, que es bastante retroactivo en mi caso, porque yo no había estudiado el concepto de arte para la justicia social cuando estaba haciendo estos cursos, sino que simplemente surgían de la convicción de que las artes eran para algo. Entonces, esto, al llegar a NYU, también tuve la oportunidad de hacer un curso de arte y activismo para estudiantes de educación media y aprender de este marco teórico. Entonces, la educación artística para la justicia social se caracteriza por un compromiso con crear arte que dirija la atención, movilice acción hacia o intente intervenir en sistemas de desigualdad o injusticia. La idea es que el proceso de hacer arte ofrezca a los estudiantes una forma de construir conocimiento, analizar críticamente ideas y actuar en el mundo involucrados en una práctica de arte para la justicia social. Y este proceso implica conectar a los estudiantes con sus realidades y con cuáles son las situaciones de injusticia que ellos pueden ver en sus realidades más próximas, un proceso de cuestionar o investigar más en profundidad cuáles son las características de esas injusticias y finalmente traducirlo en una obra de arte que pueda cumplir con estos objetivos de llamar la atención o movilizar hacia el cambio. Entonces les muestro algunas cosas que tristemente están afectadas porque no realicé una documentación sistemática de los cursos, pero es lo que pude encontrar de las experiencias que realicé desde el 2009 hasta el 2013. Y estos son los nombres de los cursos: Ciudad Postmoderna en el Cine, Arte en la Postmodernidad, otra versión del mismo curso llamada Y esto es arte, y finalmente uno de Nuevo Cine Chileno. Entonces, los objetivos fueron adentrarnos en algunas reflexiones filosóficas en torno a cómo estamos viviendo hoy y cómo podemos interrumpir esas formas de vida para cuestionarlas y ver qué es lo que realmente está sirviéndonos para vivir auténticamente y mantener relaciones con los otros que no estén simplemente reguladas por el mercado. Entonces, les muestro algunos ejemplos que van a estar más relacionados con cada una de esas etapas: conectar, cuestionar, traducir. Entonces, para que los estudiantes miraran su entorno más próximo y miraran cuáles eran los temas que para ellos eran más importantes, realizamos autobiografías estéticas donde ellos eligieron cuáles eran los estilos artísticos que les interesaban más y los problemas que ellos veían como más prevalentes y que querían abordar en los cursos. Ahí pueden ver algunos ejemplos y los estudiantes, por supuesto, hacen uso de las tecnologías de manera muy natural para la realización de estos proyectos. Bueno, otra de las cosas que se podía hacer en este programa era llevar a los estudiantes a salidas a terreno. Entonces esa fue una instancia que quise aprovechar para que ellos conocieran las oportunidades culturales que hay en Santiago, que pudieran también integrarlo a su vida cotidiana, que no lo vieran como algo que era para otras personas, sino que algo que ellos podían hacer. Y, por ejemplo, visitamos una exposición de arte kitsch y yo los insté a que ellos trajeran objetos de sus casas para que vieran que los materiales podían ser materiales que ellos tenían a su disposición. Y algunos de los temas que se trataron fue en una línea, por ejemplo, de teoría feminista, de cuáles eran las imposiciones biopolíticas sobre el cuerpo, y ahí también hay algunos ensayos muy interesantes que hicieron en especial las mujeres del curso. También otra salida a terreno fue una gran feria de arte contemporáneo que se hace en la ciudad de Santiago cada año. La idea de esta visita era que ellos pudieran cuestionar el para quién del arte. Entonces, son ferias que generalmente está destinada a un público más elitista, donde se venden obras de arte a gran precio. La idea era que ellos fueran y cuestionaran y vieran cómo poder interrumpir esto. Y lo interesante fue que conocieron en esta feria al artista Papas Fritas, que no sé si alguien ha escuchado de él, que se hizo muy conocido por acciones de arte como quemar unos pagarés de estudiantes de una universidad que cerró y los estudiantes quedaron con muchas deudas y sin ningún título. También por esta obra reciente del general Pinochet. Entonces los estudiantes engancharon mucho con él, tuvieron una conversación, después lo pude traer a una clase siguiente donde él conversó con los estudiantes de cómo él trabaja cercanamente con presos en la cárcel de San Miguel y cómo eso inspira su trabajo artístico. Entonces, ese tipo de reflexiones permitió que los estudiantes fueran adentrándose en las problemáticas sociales y cómo eso podía traducirse en arte. Bueno, otras de las oportunidades que busqué desarrollar con ellos era que investigaran, tuvieran acceso a obras de arte, por ejemplo, ver una película y desarrollar un ensayo más en profundidad. Entonces, por ejemplo, esta es de la película Babel, que habla sobre las formas de vida modernas y cómo contrastan con otras formas de vida. Y acá pueden ver algunas de las citas del ensayo de una estudiante. Entonces, pareciera que vivir en ciudades nos aleja como personas, nos incita a encerrarnos en nuestras casas, en nuestras vidas privadas. Entonces, este tipo de reflexiones estuvieron alimentadas por lecturas teóricas, ciertamente, pero la idea era que los estudiantes pudieran también verlo en su realidad y también ver cómo interrumpirlo. Por ejemplo, les presenté el concepto de no lugar, cómo ellos podían ir y ver un mall, un supermercado, pero también que se fijaran dónde ese concepto no aplicaba y dónde podíamos mantener relaciones. Bueno, acá hay otro ejemplo, también un cadáver exquisito, una obra colectiva, y podemos ver también algunas ideas. Estos son estudiantes de primero y segundo medio, entonces pueden ver la profundidad de las reflexiones, como el sentirme solo en medio de la multitud, y todo esto fue una obra colectiva. Bueno, un tema que también tratamos bastante es cómo el consumismo se ha vuelto central en nuestras vidas. Entonces ahí lo ilustré con una cita de Olivia Good que dice: el mayor tabú en el currículo de educación artística es evidenciar que el principal uso de las imágenes en esta cultura es transformar a los seres humanos en consumidores. Y este es un ejemplo de la instalación que hicieron para la feria de aprendizajes, que es el momento de cierre de cada curso. Entonces hicieron un Pac-Man ahí comiendo distintos logos reconocibles que ellos mismos dibujaron y hicieron a escala. Entonces, si bien la calidad final estuvo limitada por las 2 clases que teníamos para prepararlos y los $15 más o menos para materiales, lo importante era ver cómo ellos pudieron aplicar lo aprendido, lo reflexionado durante el curso y traducirlo en una obra concreta que fue vista por alrededor de 1.500 personas ese día. También nosotros hablamos teóricamente del concepto de la muerte de los metarrelatos en la posmodernidad. Entonces, ellos hicieron esto como sorpresa, no me avisaron, me dijeron que iban a hacer algo especial. Entonces, graficaron muy bien con esta intervención en los baños, como la religión, el consumismo, eso era reflejando Navidad, o el sistema económico, eran cosas en las que ellos ya no creían. Y acá hay un video, no sé si... Bueno, les quería mostrar solo esa obra que hicieron, que la idea era involucrar al público en la realización de la obra, que era también una de las cosas que... Perdón, una de las cosas que queríamos cuestionar. Entonces, en resumen, ¿cuáles son las posibilidades que vi al realizar esto? Que por supuesto era un espacio privilegiado, donde los estudiantes sabíamos que estaban interesados de antemano en las artes, pero lo que yo veo que se puede tomar de esto para el sistema educativo en general. Considero que una educación artística que se instale en la educación pública puede contribuir a la formación de sujetos políticos, donde las escuelas puedan generar espacios críticos y donde los estudiantes puedan reconocerse como ciudadanos. Finalmente, yo creo que se puede también contribuir a una cultura escolar a través de las artes, donde toda esta prevalencia que se ha dado a la medición, a algunas áreas académicas por sobre otras, se vuelva más integral. ¿Y cómo hacer esto? Yo creo que hay distintas vías. Una en la que me quiero concentrar personalmente cuando vuelva a Chile es trabajar directamente con los profesores de artes que ya están en los colegios y también con profesores de otras materias. Sabemos que las artes se pueden introducir en distintos ámbitos para generar este tipo de reflexiones críticas. También, cómo pensar en transformar las políticas públicas, posicionar o reposicionar las artes en el currículum y también obtener recursos, porque sabemos que estos han sido bien limitados y cada vez se limitan más. Entonces, ¿cómo pensar en que esto se vuelva, como veíamos recién en la charla sobre creatividad, se vuelva parte de la tradición, se vuelva institucional, pero con el desafío de mantener también el carácter de resistencia y disidencia de las artes? La formación de profesores también considero que es algo fundamental, y integrar esta perspectiva de educación artística para la justicia social en su entrenamiento previo al trabajo. Y también creo que no debe estar separado de la investigación académica la educación artística, así que es otro ámbito donde podemos seguir trabajando. Muchas gracias.
I would like to give next a warm welcome to our second panelist, Mariana Vergara. She is an EDD candidate in the Adult Learning and Leadership Program at Teachers College and Executive Director at Bridge Model of Transformational Learning. Mariana teaches the Mindfulness into Action approach. This innovative methodology includes indigenous ancient knowledge practices that help shape and change behavior in participants through new awareness. Mariana has been working with this model of transformational learning over the past 15 years and is continuing her work through her research here at TC. In response to a need for more Ecuadorian college professors to obtain doctorates, Mariana is developing a doctoral program for Universidad Técnica del Norte and Universidad Nacional de Loja, where a Mindfulness into Action class will be included. Welcome, Mariana.
Hola, how are you today? Good? Okay. As she said, I am Mariana. All of this began with my doctorate in 2009. I went to the Amazon rainforest, and over there I found an indigenous community facing a mining company. And it's normal in that part of the world that the indigenous people are killed by the mercenaries hired by the mining company. Then they were very hopeless. They met, I asked permission to be in their meeting, and I could sense that sense of hopelessness, that they were not, they thought they couldn't do anything. You know, the mining company with the mercenaries. But the point here is that we believe, is what Dr. Hansen was saying, we have assumptions, and we are guided by those assumptions, and we don't even know that we are guided by them. In this case, they believed they couldn't do anything to this mining company. Then I went to this meeting, and I did the intervention, so to speak, and it's what somebody was asking about collectivism, because over there is not like here it is, the researcher to save you or to help you, you know, like the research paradigm that supposedly we study so much and then we have the answer, supposedly, right? And then we go there and mess it up more. But anyway, that is another conversation. The point here is that here I spoke with the indigenous and I helped them to get out of that mindset. And that is the reason we put this Johari window, because in the Johari window you can see these 4 quadrants. And they were having this belief that they couldn't do anything. And you can tell them, you can do this, yes, you can. And we can do that the same in the school with children or with teachers, right? But if they don't believe it, nothing is going to change. In this case, I went back. This happened in June 2009. I went back to Teachers College to do my dissertation and stuff. And then I came back in September. And when I found is that they got rid of the mining company themselves without me. And not only that, this happened in, June 2009. By September, they got rid of the mining company. In 2010, they got rid of 4 more mining companies, the same matter, without violence. Nobody got killed. And then the following year, they got titles for their properties because they lived for generations, but they didn't know about the concept of ownership. And then through this process of reflection, they got their titles, and then they built a road. And by 2012, I brought the first students, American students, to the Amazon, and we did that research there. The point here is, here we are in New York, and we are studying, and we are doing this because we want to make a change in the world, most of us. But happens that we have assumptions that we don't know we have. And with those assumptions, we are facing the challenges we are facing. And I don't know if you notice, but there are no changes. You know, we are fighting the achievement gap since the 60s. Since the 60s. Okay, then what I find out, because at this point I'm writing my dissertation, I should be doing that because I'm going to defend in a few weeks. But I'm here because I thought it's more important for you to know that we need to be aware of those assumptions. I'm fine? Yes, we are aware of these assumptions because when we go out and do our programs, we are doing it based on those assumptions, and we don't even know that. That is the quadrant, the unknown. You see the black one? Yes? That one is the one that we don't know, that you don't know, and somebody seeing you don't know, like we don't know. And we are moving on those assumptions. I don't know if it's clear what the Johari window brings, yes? The open over there is what you know and what the others know. Like, I am a woman, right? You know that, I know that, right? But then comes the other one that is the hidden, that you know I'm a woman, but you don't know I'm Chilean, right? Then comes the other one that is the blind, that is somebody that you're in a meeting and this person talks a lot, and everybody knows she talks a lot, but she doesn't know that. And there is a blind behavior. But also there is the unknown behavior, and that one is the one is messing up everything, because we are here thinking we know, but we don't know. And the other no. And the beauty of this methodology is that helps you to find those ones. And in the same way that the indigenous people did what they needed to do because they knew how to do it, but they didn't know they were in this paradigm, right? In the same sense, we can get out of that paradigm, whatever this means. And here we have this mindfulness into action initiative where students meet and go through this process and they shift. And then because of that, now I'm developing with the Norwegian University, a doctoral program for 2 universities in Ecuador, where I'm going to put this class so to speak, in the curriculum, and that way they are aware of these perceptions as we have the knowledge, all this other knowledge. And my other minutes, I'm going to let another person speak about this because I'm talking, you see, but you need to experience it to get it. And I would like to ask Tara to please share her experience through this process, and that way you have a better sense of what I mean. Thank you. Thank you, Tara.
Thank you, Mariana. My name is Tara Fenimore, and I have been working with Mariana and engaging with the mindfulness into action work since January, so it's not a very long time at all. However, I can testify to the fact that it really does work, and I have some solid experiences that gesture to the effectiveness of the work, and I'm going to get to that. But first I want to talk a little bit about my first time in a meeting for mindfulness into action, and Mariana told me I had been colonized. And at the time, my associations about the term colonization was confined to the history of people who look like me, going into countries and regions of people who look less like me, and imposing their interpretations of the world, their culture, ideas, their socioeconomic needs onto the landscape and the peoples of these regions, and really annihilating the natural resources and the life source, which is embedded in the land and the cultures of these people. So I looked at Mariana and I said, how can I be colonized? Like, the only way I can ostensibly be more privileged is if I was a white man. And she just looked at me and said that as a dweller in a society, in a culture, I have had essentially patterns and habits of thought imposed on me. And so I have been imprinted with prejudices and patterns, habits that I am not aware of. And therefore, as a dweller in a society, and I want to say the trauma of growing into that society and adapting to that society, being forced to adapt to that society, I have been colonized. And especially in my experience with this work as a woman, not by any specific people, but being taught to be good, be quiet, be pretty, to be obedient. And that's where I found this work to be incredibly meaningful for me. I can give you 2 examples, and I think exclusion is a word that Mariana has also introduced me to in a way that I hadn't considered before, how we exclude ourselves and exclude others. And I think that's incredibly important, especially in this country right now. So I'll give 2 examples, one in which I was excluded and one in which I excluded somebody else. And the first one, I'm a member of a group, I'm an actor, I'm an artist, and we work with songs from the American South. And the work itself is meant to create communities, so interracial communities, to engage in this work and to, it's a very ontological process, very much like mindfulness into action. And I have learned songs, and I wanted to lead a song. And the director, he was calling out the names of, not the names of the songs that were to be led at that specific evening, and he did not call me. And I had found that I had been called very, very few times to lead a song. And I had all these thoughts, like, about, I sing better than that person, and it's not fair. It's not. I had all these really negative, destructive patterns that, and suddenly I saw myself, and Mariana had described this to me. That you'll start seeing. I saw myself, like, having these thoughts and these experiences, and I was like, this is not helping me or anybody, and these judgments on myself and others is not going to solve this problem. And I realized that if I didn't do something about it, then I was excluding myself. And so I approached Mario, the director, and I just said, hey Mario, I've noticed that I'm not called to lead songs very often. Do you think I am not ready? I don't understand. And he just said, oh yeah, you can lead a song, and here, you pick out what you want to sing and where, and we'll do it. At that moment, another group member approached me, and she was like, that was very brave. And I was like, what do you mean that was brave? Just whatever. And she's like, I could never do that. And that's when I realized that I couldn't have done that maybe 2 months prior, before I had started doing this practice, because I wouldn't have been aware of those thoughts in the way that I became aware of them. I wouldn't have been aware of how destructive that was and how it was hurting myself and my relationship to the people in the group, and that there was a solution. I wouldn't have been aware that I could approach Mario and change the situation I was in. And it seems so simple, but what's remarkable is how complex it really is and how complex we make it. And then an episode that I excluded somebody else, I was in class, and I became aware that there were certain people in the class who I would listen to very attentively. And then there were other people in the class who, when they spoke, I would just stop listening. And as I became aware of this, I was like, why is person X, why is their insight more valuable than person Y? And I still don't have like a specific reason for it. However, what it unleashed is a practice now in class where I attentively listen to the people who I, in the past, was unaware of zoning out while they were speaking. And I think it's an important practice, and I think it will ultimately manifest in other areas of my life. Because and what this work does is sort of, Du Bois talks about a veil in the souls of black folk. And this work, I feel like, creates a ladder that we, above the veil, so we can look down and see ourselves and how we interact with each other, and makes us aware of our behavior in a way that gives us the opportunity to change. And I think that's incredibly important, especially right now. So thank you, Mariana.
Thank you. Thank you. Just, I would like to invite you. I'm going to Ecuador to do this with the universities, but Mindfulness into Action continues here, and we will see what we can create together. You know, because I don't know. We know, you know what I mean? We will do it. But if we do it, but we need to do the process in order to make it happen. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much, Mariana. I'd like to welcome our final panelist, Raimundo Larraín. Raimundo is co-founder of PULSO Docente, a new non-for-profit that aims to train teachers working in the most challenging classrooms in Chile. After receiving his BS in biochemistry, Raimundo taught science for 2 years with Enseña Chile. Afterwards, he trained teachers in Chile and Ecuador. Raimundo is currently an MA candidate at TC in the International Educational Development Program with a concentration in educational leaderships. Welcome, Raimundo.
So, hi everyone. Thanks for inviting me to this conference. So, I'm Raimundo Larraín. I'm from Santiago de Chile, and I'm currently studying a master's here in Teachers College. And so today, one core question that invites us, all of us today, is how can we nurture creativity across our educational systems? So I'm going to share with you a project that I've been thinking and developing in Chile. We are currently developing a pilot project in Chile, and I'm going to share what is our new framework and new approach to teacher professional development. Thank you. So, first I want to tell you a story like what's the sources of my inspiration to do this project. So I was a teacher prior to coming to Teachers College in a public school. So what I saw there is that while teachers are always eager to learn new skills, but at the same time, they are very isolated in the classroom. Due to long-term policies, the Chilean teachers spend lots of hours delivering instruction, giving them no time to do lesson plan, visit each other, do classroom observation. So, what I saw there is that even though we have this eagerness to learn new things, the Chilean classroom is like a sacred space. So no one visits the classroom. The teachers are very isolated, which is detrimental to the quality of instruction. So another thing I saw there is that there exists a huge gap between learning new skills and implementing them. So most of the traditional professional development for teachers occurs external to the workplace, which is absurd, because if teachers spend lots of hours within the schools, why all of these professional developments take place in conferences outside the school place? So, so I asked myself, like, what are we offering teachers to build new strong bases in teaching? So, all of this together gradually put teachers in a low motivation cycle. Like, what are we offering them? What can we look at after, and how can we support them? So, yeah. And apart from my story, I'm going to share with you some data about the context regarding professional development. So, in Chile, there's no formal induction programs for teachers starting their careers. So, the second fact, I think it's higher, because in public schools, teachers spend most of their time doing classroom management tasks. So the amount of time that is wasted every single hour is what makes the achievement gap so big. So, the question is, how can we build strong basis on teaching skills for teachers to develop and release their creativity in the classroom? But in order for teachers to build their careers, they need a strong basis in teaching essential skills. So, so what are we offering? So first, a training that is based on school. As I told you, school is the place where learning occurs. In schools, learning is linked to problems, and is where teachers spend most of their time. Please. This is the next one. Yeah. So our 4 core principles for teacher training is, first, the power of practice. So I mentioned you that teachers have, there's a huge, there's like an implementation dip between learning new skills and implementing in the classroom. 80% of what you learn in conferences and outside the workplace is totally forgotten. So we base our school, our teacher training model within schools as the place where learning happens. And we include the power of practice to transform teacher performance. So what do we mean by practice? By practice, we mean the opportunity for teachers to see how master teachers do classes in videos. Then teachers can practice and learn from these model teachers before applying these new skills in the classroom. Then they practice it, they observe each other, they give feedback each other, they visit each other's classroom, and then the teacher becomes part of this virtuous circle. So we replace the low motivation circle for a virtuous circle that is characterized by these 4 pillars. Another very important component for high quality teacher professional development is the importance of feedback, intensive coaching, and peer interaction. So, as I told you, teachers are very isolated in their classroom, and receiving feedback is the most powerful way to improve your own practices. And we believe in our project that teachers are made, teachers are not born, as some people may argue. And teachers, same as violinists, same as athletes, same as any skilled profession, they must practice core skills to improve their performance. On the other hand, working in public schools is really challenging. So, if you do not master on your first year, your trajectory will be undermined. So why don't we change this framework and improve teachings in their first years? Because the first year is the most predictable year for a teacher career. And also, one of the pillars in one of the corners is focus. Why focus? Because professional development is so broad, always. You have to do this, like 20 things to be a master teacher. Why don't we focus on basic teaching essential skills and master those skills in order to improve afterwards? So focus, practice, feedback, all do it within the community context, gives this powerful cycle of a virtuous circle. So we believe that if a teacher is embedded in this virtuous circle and he can improve his individual performance and then impact the performance of its institution. So you may be asking, well, okay, this sounds pretty okay. Then how does it look like? So we've been piloting the project in a school, in a low-income school in Chile, in Santiago, training all the new teachers of the school, so a community of 20 teachers. And we included these 4 core principles: visiting each other, opening the doors to receive feedback, practicing, like as I told you, like as a performing profession. So why don't we change the traditional mindset that teachers should be treated like as a performing profession? Yeah. And in the long term, our project aims to, well, first so at the core of our project is the figure of the teacher to reinforce the quality of our educational system. And however, there are many other aspects that I think we found huge gaps there. So another one is how can we help schools and district leaders to hire top talent? So I'm going to share with you a brief story. While I was working there in my school, at the beginning of the school year, the physical education teacher quit unexpectedly because he was burned out very fast. So my school principal posted an open position to replace him. The day after, he received 400 applications for one position, because in Chile, in Santiago at least, we don't have shortage of teachers. And he was like how can I handle this information? And I told him, I'm pretty sure that among those 400 teachers, there must be at least 10 top teachers. Then the question is, how can we recognize them? And what are the tools, actually, that school district leaders have to recognize top talent, attract best teachers? And they do not have the tools because of this long-term system that sees school principals as mere administrative of schools. So they are not instructional leaders. So that combines with the story I told you. We want to develop mechanisms that could help district leaders and school principals to improve their hiring processes, their staffing process, and leveraging capacity at the district level, at the municipal level, and at the public school level. And a third branch of our approach is diminishing the gap between what is researched in education and what is really useful for teachers. So in many Latin American countries, we have high quality of research in education, but the results of that research stays there. Like it's like a closed circle of the academic world. How can these products of research can best serve teachers in their classroom? Why don't we do it user-friendly? Why don't we publish information not as papers or at conference? Why don't we do user-friendly manuals regarding, for example, how does an effective classroom looks like? What is a academically rigorous classroom? What happens when a student is transformed? So we believe that building those bridges between the academic world and the teachers working, we can help support the system in a different way. So finally, I'm going to share with you, so today we are ending our pilot project, our first pilot project, and I'm going to share with you some insights about what happened there. How does it look like? It's not a very good quality video as yours, but it's the best I have. It's this one. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yes. And I added some subtitles. So here are the teachers in the school. Okay. Thank you. It's okay. It's okay. No? So previously, so just one explanation. What do we mean by teaching essential skills, classroom management? For example, we are based on, I don't know if some of you know the Teach Like a Champion framework. No, it's like based on core teaching skills that help teachers improve their practices. So we are implementing these skills in a very easy way for teachers to improve. So one skill is 100%, like all the kids are following your instructions. Other technique is called positive framing, which is instead of like silencio, cállense, guarda eso, no sé qué, you say it in a positive way, for example. So we have like 4 core skills, and then we are developing these ones. It's okay. You can follow the subtitles. So here the teachers are practicing between them.
Formarse en silencio. La segunda, llegando a la cancha, tenemos 1 minuto para formar nuestro ciclo. Formarse en silencio. Les recuerdo que en silencio, varones, muy bien, damas, faltan 3 damas que están en silencio, lista al frente para poder bajar en silencio. Gracias a las personas que me están escuchando. Faltan 3 damas, 2 caballeros. Aún faltan 2 caballeros. Faltan 2 caballeros. Voy a pedir que guarde la actividad que tiene sobre la mesa y la ponga bajo su asiento. Ahora, tienen 1 minuto para hacerlo.
Aviola, 2 cosas importantes. Una, sonreír. ¿Ya? Das la instrucción, sonríe y camina allá, pero lo más importante es que llegaste allá y no nos miraste a todos. Te quedaste por aquí nomás.
El beneficio máximo primero es conocer. Vamos conociendo, lo cual va creando un ambiente de trabajo mejor. O sea, eso se supondría que debería pasar por lo menos. Al pasar eso, uno por lo menos se preocupa de que no solamente la clase le resulta a uno, nosotros estamos en un colegio que tiene que dar un sentido común, sino que también te preocupa del compañero que viene.
Es que nos podemos retroalimentar y aprender de cada uno de los errores o las fortalezas que tiene cada uno para poder seguir mejorando.
Lo que me ha gustado de acá ha sido aprender nuevas técnicas para poder manejar mejor a mis alumnos en la parte de normalización.
Te da una técnica, tú la practicas, recibes retroalimentación y luego la vuelves a practicar poniendo, digamos, en obra lo que acabas de recibir como retroalimentación. Entonces es todo muy como al callo.
Just a small piece of what we are doing. So our bet is how why don't we change the way teachers have been trained traditionally by these 4 pillars? And we believe that the power of this project can be spread among districts and across school networks in Chile, reinforcing the power of learning communities. So teachers are not part of something like they are at the core of the educational reform. Like reinforcing teachers must begin with giving them the tools for them to improve their performance. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Raimundo. I'd now like to open the panel for a Q&A. We're running a bit late, so okay. So if you have any questions. Well, I guess I'll ask my question. I think we're really lucky to have such a dynamic panel. We have research on the community level in the school, at teacher training level. So I guess my broad question is, what role did creativity play in each of your work? What role did creativity play in researching your work, either in the development phase or throughout the process?
What is very interesting is that I never imagined I will be doing what I'm doing now. Okay? Which is, in Ecuador, they have 38,000 teachers in the higher education system, and only 1,200 have doctorates. And now I'm creating this doctorate program where I'm recruiting the current teachers to get the doctorate through whatever I'm designing. Now, this creativity thing comes with this practice, in my case, with this mindfulness into action. Basically, what we do is we stop every hour for 30 seconds and check how am I doing. And as I do that, I identify my feelings, if I'm frustrated or not. When I'm doing that, I'm making sure I am going where I'm going, okay, which I'm graduating, okay? But also, at the same time, and what I want to say is kind of crazy, but and I learned this from the indigenous people about being in one with the present and in alignment with what is coming. Because when this happened to me, like the Norwegian university, they asked me to visit as a visiting scholar, and I didn't have the money to go, and they pay everything. And that is the reason I went there, you know, but it just show up, like it emerges. And it's something about this adaptive way of doing things, because currently we are facing so many things, and we think that we arrange them from here. Okay, this is what I'm going to do, and this is my to-do list, and then I want to do that. And that way of doing things is the way we were trained to think. Okay, but those way of thinking is not helping what the challenges we are facing now. We need to really connect and sense what is next and adapt to what is coming, you know? And if you have already a plan, hello, life is not like that. You think you have a plan, but reality we don't. And look at the state of the world as we speak. You know, then that is what I'm talking about. To please, we need to go back and stop just going, but stop and reflecting and making sure whatever we are doing is what it is, you know, what you want really to do. Because what we are facing now is with, like, for the environment, you know, it's all the problems that are coming from the industrial time, right? They didn't see it coming. They just, you know, and that is then we need to really stop and see what we're doing. In that way, when we create what we really want to create, not what we have now. Yeah?
So very briefly, I think creativity helps you ask challenging questions to overcome the way things have been done in like traditionally. So I think looking at problems from different perspectives helps you improve your approaches, your bets. For example, the power of technology now, the power of videos, the power of social networks, the power of peer-to-peer interaction. So I think it's not like changing things radically, it's just looking things or tradition or the ways that things have been done traditionally in another way.
So one of the things that I want to maintain in those classes was the spaces for students to come up with ideas and with projects that could complement my lesson planning. So there was a plan, but that plan was very open to change and flexible because it was all about how students see arts making a contribution to the problems they see in their environment. So I had to listen to them, and I think that's what fits creativity.
Any other questions?
Hi. So I have a question to Raimundo. I was wondering, I'm also in the professional development teacher, so I'm curious about how you implement the approach. Like you are hired by the districts, or you offer like freely for schools. I mean, how do you get to do it?
Okay, so in Chile there's a special law that gives extra funding for schools who have extra population of at-risk students. So they give you una subvención, an extra funding for each student. So schools can allocate those resources to these kinds of professional development. So there's an open path to build upon that, yeah. And at the district level, they can also hire you as a foundation in education. They can hire your services, yeah.
Thank you, the three of you, for your stories. My question goes to Raimundo, and it pertains to teacher training, like in general in Chile. Like, I wanted to know if, for example, this framework of engaging recently graduated teachers into classroom and like sharing feedback, collective feedback, does that exist like in the teacher when they started to be teachers? Like, did you experience that, or it's like not?
Yeah. So there's no formal induction programs for new teachers. So it's, if a school wants to train or treat new teachers in a special way, it's by their own initiative. So that's the first thing. Second, so I lost the point. Yeah, I lost the point. For the first,
I wanted to know, like, when you like went through the teaching preparation program to become a teacher, like, did any of these things were included? Or?
Yeah. Most of the teacher training programs do not include this because of resources, because of what I told you, that teachers are, Chilean teachers are Chile is the top country in terms of average hours delivering instruction. So a teacher is on average 29 hours per week inside the classroom. So how can you ask a teacher to attend other professional development, like in which time of the day? So there's no space. That's the problem. However, this week was launched a new professional like a new carrera docente, a new educational reform, which aims to change the workload for new teachers and giving them more space in their contracts to receive professional development.
I just wanted to add, because I had the opportunity to work with a program supporting public schools in Chile, that a lot of it is through municipalities, which are in charge of education. I don't know if that may change in the future, but so some municipalities are very focused on education, and they would put money for teacher training outside the school, and I participated in that. So it depends if you're lucky to be in a municipality that is concerned about teacher training.
But they are not across the school, so they don't place the teacher professional development within school setting. So that's totally something new.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm very curious about, so you gave this training to new teachers. So my question is, it is supposed that we're going to find some people who are really creative, who understand creativity, and spread idea out. So who are the people that you actually invite to join your group and give this teaching? And what are the ideas that you, what is the kind of framework that you use? What is the inspiring framework that you will adopt to when you standardize your teaching schedule, teaching concept? So that are some basic ideas behind the whole, the framework of whole. So I'm interested where the ideas come from, and what are these people? How can you help these people? Thank you.
It's a tough question, I think. So one thing that I think it's very important is that it's the idea that one size fits everyone. That's not true. So by giving this framework based on community, you allow teachers to find their ways to feel developed. So each teacher finds his path. You are not imposing things. You are giving teachers a set of tools. He can choose them and then build on that. So yeah, I think one idea is that you propose different ways of teachers to feel engaged with what is your value proposition.
Kind of interactive peer feedback instead of you. Inviting or finding a teacher standing in front and teach something or teach creativity to the young teachers or the new teachers, right? If I understood you right.
Yeah, you have like an exemplar teacher who delivers this training, and teachers learn from him.
So do you have enough this kind of teacher in Chile that can really give very systematic and effective teaching of creativity to teachers? So that is my question. Second is, right, so if I understood you right, so it seems like the teachers, the young new teachers, they give ideas to each other instead of you throw up whole ideas to them. So that is the two questions. Where ideas come from, and do you have a good faculty of teachers on creativity? Thanks.
Basically, what he's saying, for what I understood, is that these teachers spend a lot of time in practice. Therefore, they have the experience. And then when they have these group meetings, they are able to give feedback to each other from their own experience. In that sense, what he described is we have this tendency to believe that we don't know, but because these teachers are by themselves, they believe they don't know, and that is what they are believing. Okay, And then when they are placed in this framework, they are able to explore by feedback, and they find their own answers because they are the ones working in the school. They know the challenges, they know the opportunities, but because they are so in the system, okay, they don't see. Then therefore, what he's doing is providing the space for this type of reflection, and that way the answers will come up, the creativity will come up.
Yeah, it's changing like a fixed mindset for a growth mindset. So you can, it's an ongoing cycle, virtuous cycle.
Thank you to all of our panelists. Thank you to Andrea Lopez, Mariana Vergara, and Raimundo Larraín. We're gonna have a short coffee